Okay, so how would you characterize our journey to find a good team to work with?
It's been a struggle and a big learning process, I think.
Yeah, definitely not something that is cut and dry. Yeah. I don't think this is like a how-to bulleted list, because I don't really think that exists, but just kind of knowing how you work is, I guess, the first step.
Yeah, and I think we've had a lot of variety of experiences that have really helped us learn the importance of a good team and also how just like to find those people.
Yeah. And even with ourselves. So background, I guess, like,
yeah.
I didn't know you were a person in the world.
No.
Until we made a web series together over the course of 8 weeks during the summer.
We worked really well on set together, and then we got into post-production. And then it started being a little bit more work because it wasn't just like our working styles on set are pretty similar. We are pretty dedicated. We can work long hours. And we were really supportive of each other, I think, too, which was important. And I wouldn't say the support stopped when we got to post-production. We just like kind of had different working styles and had to figure out that a lot. And also navigate being, because at that point we started living together, and so we had to really navigate working together and also being friends and roommates.
Yes, it's true that we initially right out the gate we realized like, oh wow, this is going to be a fun summer because we were both just like, let's go hard, and we're just super dramatic and intense about it. And then we got into, you know, deadlines was like a huge issue for us. We were releasing a lot of content, and we were releasing while we were still shooting, and we just like we had overcommitted you before you were like
before I realized that it was too much.
Yes, yeah, and so we had to kind of realize that you're like a human being who has needs and stuff, and just sort of work around that. But at the same time, we had, as you said, decided like we're gonna be roommates. We get along very well. Like this is a good relationship and a good friendship that we want to continue. So we chose and we committed, and we were like, we're gonna make this work. Our styles are a little bit different, but we're gonna come to the middle. We're gonna talk about it, and we had really, really open communication. Yes. That's something that we have forced upon each other, like.
For sure.
Just in every respect about how we're feeling, like checking in, and this is what's going on with me, and here's my workload, and here's my to-do list, and the expectations are manageable, unmanageable, ridiculous, or just like, I'm cool.
I think that's the biggest thing for us with making teams has been communication. If people tell us what's going on, we're usually like, I mean, we're understanding about like stuff. We just like want to know. We want to know where people are at and how they are handling stuff, and then so that we can help and figure it out together. But if there's no communication and it's just like, well, we find out later down the road that things have gone bad and we had no idea, like that's way worse.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's one of my biggest like life mottos. I am not a mind reader.
Yes.
And I should not be expected to be a mind reader.
No.
So if you have needs that are not being met by me, you need to tell me about it. I guess like the first step when you're looking for people to work with is that they have to know that they are dedicated already. Because I'm never going to be able to sell someone on like the creative process, or you want to be directing, shooting, like there's that's not going to work. They have to have already come to the table with that. And that's something that I think I'm really bad about, because I'll have a conversation with someone and they'll express interest, like just like a vague like dream of wanting to do any part of the process. Oh, I want to write, I want to direct, I want to act or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I can give you that opportunity. But what I need to realize, and what I have realized, is that people who aren't already kind of doing it, don't really deserve me pulling them out of their shell and like rolling out the red carpet. Join the team, you're special. I think that's been something that's huge for me.
Yeah, and I feel like making a web series requires so much dedication that you do have to have been doing something beforehand, because otherwise you come in and you're super overwhelmed. Yeah. It's not a good way to start off at all.
And when you were suggested to me, you were already doing videography and you were running like a company. You like had a business where you were shooting and editing. So I was like, demonstrated effort, demonstrated ability, done. Yeah. And like I had already made a web series. I think we just, I was just way more willing to be like, she's on board already, because you were.
What would you say are some tips for finding a good team
First of all, you have to know what you're looking for in terms of the actual job, right? What that job description looks like for you. And then also you have to know like what kind of personalities and stuff you're looking for. We talk about people being like one of us.
We totally do.
And I think it's just our way of shorthanding people who love to work. Like,
yes.
Let's work all the time because work is the best. But then also at the end of a 12-hour day, they can come home and all hang out with each other still.
Yeah. And we can handle talking about the things that went wrong, even with working with each other. Like, I think that's so important to be able to find people who can handle the job, I guess, and like not necessarily take it personally, because it generally is not.
Also, just people who like in general kind of watch the same stuff we watch.
Yes.
And like the same stuff we like, and they've looked at the same creators and been like, oh, goal. Like, I want to move in that trajectory, or like use that person as an example. Because it's really hard to work with someone who's, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like, and they don't know who that is.
Yes, that's true.
Like, start from square one. Like, let's build this from scratch.
Just kind of similar tastes in a way. That's not like limiting, but helps us more like reach our goal.
And I think that also goes with the same level of commitment at this point, because when we started out, it was like fun and just like whoever, anyone who has like a vague interest in wanting to like create something, and going back to what I said before, people who had never done it before, and it was just like first pancake for a lot of reasons. You also want to get people who you know are going to do the best version of the job. So if you have a director who's not directing, and you constantly have to be like, hi, do your job, that's not a good fit, because then you are always going to be coming to them as like the boss person or whatever,
if
being
someone
like, I don't like your work. And that's unpleasant for everybody. Nobody wants to constantly hear that they're not meeting expectations.
Yeah.
But if they're constantly not meeting expectations.
Yeah, I mean, if someone is coming on and making more work for you somehow, that's probably not a good
fit. Oh my gosh, that's something we've learned like 100 times probably. It's like, oh, we hired this person to do this thing, and then we end up picking up the pieces.
Yeah, or they ask so many questions.
Yes, or we're following up so much that it's just like, I should have just done this. It would have saved me 5 steps and the drama of like having to constantly be in an emotional altercation with this person.
I think something really important has been the process of like working with friends as well too, because we have worked with a lot of friends, and we've also become friends with a lot of the people that we've brought onto our team. So that's been a really interesting balance to figure out how to keep things professional while still like being able to be friends with people, and just like, and also keeping expectations where we want them to be, because we want people to come on and like work and be good employees, but we still want to be friends with them.
And sometimes I think what we've realized is that some people are better at working with us, and some people we just are better at being friends with.
Yeah, totally.
And just like deciding what the priority is, because you can't always have it both ways. Like you and I have grown together, and
we have totally still had a process with ourselves.
Yeah,
too.
we've chosen to make that work.
Yes, and it has been a choice for sure.
Yeah, like our lives are so intertwined now between Apple Juice, and like we live together, and we socialize with each other a lot. Like we just do a lot of stuff together, but I feel like we've really, really made space for like the other person. And,
yes, for sure.
It's been a choice, and that isn't always the case with everyone.
I personally have really enjoyed being able to be on a team, because it's allowed us especially to do things we want. We complement each other really well just in this team of 2. Like, I don't like writing, so I love when you write, and you don't want to film, and I do. And so just alone with that, I think that works really well, but also bringing on producers and a director and just all the different parts, I think is really valuable to bring more ideas to the team, and also connections, and then just also like more space to do like what you want to do.
Yeah. And if I have time to like actually write the script, go through edits, get eyes on it, get opinions, like if I can take the time to make it amazing, like it will be amazing.
Yes.
But if I'm also doing 50,000 other things, it's not going to be as good. And I think just like finding people who support you and lift you up in what you're doing. And I agree, we do complement each other like miraculously well because you're just like all about that tech and the detail work, and I'm like, no, I'm like very high concept, like here's the story, the characters, I like have a vague idea of like kind of what I want it to look like, but it's totally all about like the storytelling and like the big picture, and then you get in there and you're like, here's how we're gonna like do the little nitty gritty of it. I'm like, thank goodness. Which is lucky. I mean, obviously we're lucky, but we found other people who are willing to do other parts of it that are so good at it and they love it. And I think that's huge. The main thing that I've realized for the way that I work and the way that I work well is that I need people who support it on several levels. I need people who look at the mission of Apple Juice Productions and they recognize that we have feminism in mind and that we're giving women a chance to work behind the scenes, especially that we're telling female-driven stories, and they need to be super into that. Yeah. That's like really important to me. Then whatever role they've been given or taken because we've offered it to them, they need to be very excited about that too, and be recognize it as an opportunity, but also a place where they can like bring their artistry and their creativity and like make it their own and really like wiggle around in there and like make it home. And people who fail to do that and they kind of just phone it in, or they bring this attitude of like, I'm doing you a favor, this isn't something I actually personally care about, that is soul crushing to me. And I need my soul intact when creating, so that's a hard thing to really gauge, but I think something that we've started doing that I want to continue doing is having a dialogue with people right before they come on board that's like, why do you want to be here?
Totally.
And
so that they could give their reasons and tell us if they really want to be.
Yeah. I think that's probably the second tier thing that I've learned is that there are people who want to be doing it and there are people who want to be doing it so they do. And I've been trying to open doors for people who are the want category only, and I've been trying to like pull them out of their shell and say like, look at this great thing we're doing, and you mentioned to me in passing one time that you wanted to direct or that you wanted to write. And look at this, like I have the ability to provide that for you, and I like being able to do that. However, you get into a situation where nobody's ever done it before, and then you give them this opportunity that's like kind of glamorous and you kind of like fawn over them like, you're so great, you're gonna be amazing, and they will walk all over you. They take advantage for sure.
Completely.
And if they're not already kind of demonstrating that they do it, that they are creating, that they are dedicating time and, you know, space and energy and all the things that it requires in their own day-to-day, like I don't know why I have to be the one to be like, you can do it, I'm your cheerleader. That's not really fair to me, and I very rarely am receiving that back from those people. And I think that's probably tier 3 of what I've learned. If you feel bad about like the way that your crew is treating you and their cast is treating you as the creator, as the leader, the executive producer, whatever your top tier title is, they are bad and you should get rid of them.
Totally agree. There's a hierarchy always in place, and I think now we're really good about like making sure that that's said and like people know who is in charge. But even so, people should be respectful whether they know more than you or they don't. They need to know that like you're the one in charge, and they need to respect that, and they are there to help you, and also hopefully they're there to like have a good experience for themselves, because otherwise why?
A tip that I definitely have, no tentativeness about this at all, is to trust your instincts. When you are gathering people that are going to play a role in any part of the process, whether it's cast or crew or I don't know, any person, and you feel a little bit like, ooh, I don't know if this is a good fit, I don't know if they like tonally are where I want them to be. Pay attention to that, because I think that if you're running it, it's your baby kind of, and you'll have your mother's intuition will kick in.
True. Oh my gosh, I love it.
But it's something that is hard to trust, because especially when you're desperate for people, right? You're wanting to look for somebody who's going to work with you and be great. So you don't feel like you can be picky, but if you're not picky, then you find yourself, you know, later, any number of months and or years down the road going, this was not a good thing.
And things maybe are worse because you brought that person on instead of just even doing it yourself if you couldn't find someone else.
Yeah. And if you're getting pushback from people who are acting like they know more than you, even if they do, like, there needs to be respect. You need to feel that you are getting positive stuff back from your people. And if they're making you feel bad, they are bad. And they should be, because this process is hard enough and it's scary enough. Internally, you're doing all of that to yourself. You don't need other people
totally
to make you feel crappy. That's just not worth it.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, we have gone through such a journey over the past little while and worked with a variety of people. And my skills, I feel like, have definitely grown over the past few years. But it's been interesting, even when I feel like I didn't know very much, like, I was still able to work with people who, like, respected me and definitely knew more than me, but were like, no, like, you're in charge, like, I respect that. And I do agree that that's so important. Like, and they're allowed to totally bring their knowledge and, like, well, let me help, and, like, well, here's how you do this and stuff.
But there's a way to do it that's respectful.
Totally.
The whole thing is, it's a lot more emotional than you realize it is. And it's like, be professional, but you're literally, especially as an actor, be professional is be emotionally honest and vulnerable. So, you know, you're super raw and you're just in this place where it's already hard and you're tired and whatever. So if you don't have people who are around you, that, like, it's all safe and soft is what I was gonna say, and, like, cushy and squishy. It's already, like, so hard. You shouldn't have to walk away from it feeling like your people are not your people.
Yeah, they should always be your people.
Thanks for joining us on Here's Some Tips. We don't know what we're doing either.